So the next question I have also very fundamental that ties into this too. Why is sunlight so important?
So that's why, like, fundamental is the right word, right? Because there's a reason why, you know, our planet is able to sustain life, right? It's called the Goldilocks zone. And if we didn't have a sun, if there's no light, there's no life. And I always found that fascinating, right? Because think about, like, all life on this planet developed under this orange sun in the Goldilocks zone. Like, if you would take that away, which you can, like, they're not doing these experiments necessarily, but, like, they have done some of that for the research in space travel and also survivability in the nuclear fallout, that they put, like, people in, underground bases for, like, research labs, basically, for some time. So there's definitely issues that start arising, and it's not just vitamin D. It's like the entire spectrum of light each part of the spectrum has a different effect on physiology, right? So, like, like vitamin D is obviously it's important because it modulates hormones and it connects to testosterone and dopamine. Yeah, so we
like those ones, right?
We love those ones, right? No, going without that. That's also, like, you know, why spring is a lot of guys get like here we go, right? Yeah. 2 thumbs up because your libido goes up because of all the light. But, like, fundamentally, light is important because, like, it literally nourishes life. So, and I use nourishing very deliberately because light is like nutrition. And some people that are light deprived essentially have a much lower creation of a lot of hormones. Yeah. And like, again, with the sleep example, you can get by without a lot of light, but you're not get by. You're not thriving by any means. No. So in order to, it's not even optimization as an intention, but to feel better, light plays an enormous role in that, right? Because it would be like saying, you know, like, I'm going to stop eating fats. Yeah. Right? That's what happens when you don't have natural sunlight. Like, you're literally missing a part of your diet. Yeah. Right? Because sunlight is essential. And
it's kind of interesting to view it kind of like a spectrum of micronutrients or something.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And, like... But yeah, like, it goes, like, there's so much to read, or like this, I've read so much about it, it's hard to select through the information.
No, I understand.
Fundamentally, as I said, like, it's, alright, I can share this one, and that kind of goes, like, life is energy, right? A lot of electron creation and transport comes from the sun and the earth, right? So, like, if you're grounding, there's electron transport as well. So electron transport is basically the most fundamental level of energy in the cell, right? A lot of people think we're just like a sack of meat with a chemical process, but that the chemical process is dependent on an electrical process. And that's these transference of electrons, hence electron transport chain. So if you don't have a lot of sunlight, that also means that the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell where energy is created, becomes dysfunctional. And it can't transport these electrons, create and transport these properly, right? So you're literally losing life force, or you have the inability to create the force of life, which is electric, you know, via the sun.
Yeah.
So,
very good. You know, this is something that's, it doesn't make me angry, really, because I don't really get angry anymore. But but like all this talk about TRT or like testosterone boosters, like how can I boost my testosterone? And it's like, go out in the fucking sun and go to bed at a reasonable hour and sleep for a good amount of hours.
Start there.
Of course, the good nutrition would be important too, but but also even, you know, people think about it in the opposite or in the wrong order sometimes. Like, I have low testosterone, so I can't build muscle. It's like, it's not that you can't build any muscle. It's going to be tougher, but what does building muscle do for your testosterone? It raises it. So, and everyone is like, how can I fix this before I do these things? So it's like, get the fundamentals right. You're not going to need any booster or injections.
And, like, this is also something that, like, became quite clear when I was reading, and observationally was already there. I just wanted the research to confirm it, because people have become so anal about everything being science-based or evidence-based. But if you look at like people in tribes, like these 70-year-old dudes could still keep up, and they still look jacked.
Yeah.
So was age really the problem in your testosterone, or is it your lifestyle? And it was actually a study, I don't think it's even a year ago, that like finally concluded conclusively that like, yeah, sarcopenia is loss of muscle mass. It's not an age thing, it's a lifestyle thing, right? And then we can just kind of tie that in, because the research is like, oh, it drops when you're, getting older. Yeah, like it might drop marginally.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly.
And it's okay if it drops marginally, but the drop marginally naturally is okay. Like your body, like you might feel slight differences when you're advanced in age. Right? That 70-year-old dude isn't probably slinging, the same weight that he did when he was 20.
No, exactly.
But caveat here as well, there are 70-year-old dudes that are still fucking strong and jacked.
Yeah, I saw this, like a 91-year-old dude pulling like 4 plates on a deadlift for reps.
There you go, right? So it always harkens or like brings up this question, like, is it really age?
Yeah.
And it's like, not really.
No.
It's just because you have a shitty lifestyle and you did not do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why people need TRT. Why they're being put on TRT. It's because like, let's be honest, like if you would just fix your lifestyle and stuck with that, you wouldn't need it. And if you weren't, sorry to say, but like that's stupid to fuck everything up in the first place, then you wouldn't you wouldn't get to that point at all.
No.
And I don't mean stupid in terms of like intelligence. It's just like your behavior is very counter to anything that's naturally good for you.
But I guess it's the way a lot of people do it these days. They get these problems from doing it wrong and then kind of treat the symptom instead. The symptom is low testosterone. I just inject it instead of fixing the thing, so that you just naturally produce it again. And that's why I tell clients and stuff that a lot of people, we've talked about this too, the responsibility. People like to take responsibility for the good things that happen to them, but not so much the bad things. And so everyone is like, it comes with age. Like, it's of course, since I got older. And it's like, I always would be like, I mean, to some extent, that your body is going to fight you more, in a sense, the older you get. But a lot of it is just due to lifestyle. Like, the old people walking around, like, needing this, you're not doomed to get there.
Yes, exactly.
It's just due to inactivity, really, that you can't even stand up on your own.
So it's actually quite interesting that in terms of neurology, when people stop moving is when they start degrading, right? Because movement equals life, right? Like life in the sea, if you believe in evolution, which you probably should, is like, that's when it started moving, started gathering resources and started to grow. So neurology in humans is dependent largely on movement. If you stop moving, the gray matter in your brain starts shrinking, right? And this is like, who takes responsibility for rapid aging? Right? And if that's the whole thing, like social proof is such a double-edged blade. And that's what I thought as well. Like now I'm 31 and like, but when I was, I don't know, like 12
I
or
missed the game
14. No, but that, like all the social proof is like 30-year-olds they have families and they're boring and like they're blah 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 and old, right? And then like now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, oh shit. Like none of that stuff. I mean, the families and stuff like it can be correct, but it just doesn't need to be a process of degradation, right? Because people look at like 40 and you go past your peak.
Of course, it would be great. I mean, I would be happy if I was a dad already, but, I haven't ended up there yet. But you don't have to be the kind of, because I know what you mean. I know these guys that are kind of like, I don't know, old men in a sense.
For sure. But they let themselves get old. Right? And
we're still like full of energy and playful.
Exactly. And that's the social proof thing, right? A lot of people think that aging is, to be a little morbid and precise, it's literally a death sentence at the end of it. But it doesn't need to be one like in your 30s, in your 40s,
No.
like at no given stage until you draw your last breath, you can be vital and strong and healthy.
Yeah, like you can both increase, of course, the quantity of your life, like the actual length, chronological length, like that, but especially the quality of it.
Yeah.
It's nothing like the half of it. You're gonna have all these aches and pains.
No,
and,
exactly. So it was actually like.
I'm glad you started talking about this because that was also the one thing. Why is movement so important?
Oh yeah, okay, but